biggest mystery of modern MotoGP is why the big Japanese manufacturers can't seem to catch up with Ducati and the other European brands. Well, the answer is pretty simple, but that doesn't mean it'll be a walk in the park for Honda and Yamaha to get back on top. Here's a quick story. About a decade ago, on February 1st, 2016, the factory Ducati MotoGP team unveiled their new bike, the Desmosedici GP16, at the start of the 2016 Sepang preseason test. It had these downforce winglets that really shocked the motorcycle racing world. Gigi Dall'Igna and his team created these winglets to deal with a problem with MotoGP's first spec electronic system, which had a weak anti-wheelie program. Dall'Igna knew he had to find a mechanical way to deal with these issues, so he became the first MotoGP engineer to really dive into the science of downforce aerodynamics. This led to the creation of a brand new area of development, which is now the biggest in MotoGP. It affects all aspects of the bike's performance, like braking, acceleration, cornering, and so on. New technology is very different from existing technology, like engine and chassis design, because it's so hard to learn how to use it. Whoever starts working on new technology first has a huge advantage over those who follow. The other manufacturers realized they were already behind Ducati, so they started working on aero development that Ducati had already worked on a year earlier. Without any knowledge of aero development, it was very difficult to catch up with Ducati. Every time the other manufacturers managed to take one step forward, they found that Ducati had taken 2 steps forward, thanks to its deeper knowledge of aero technology. It's only going to get easier to catch up when everyone's on the same page with aero technology. Right now, though, MotoGP aero development is all over the place. The Japanese manufacturers are making things harder for themselves because they're hesitant to start down that development path. But Ducati's European rivals quickly realized they needed to follow Ducati's lead. Honda, Suzuki, and Yamaha, however, were unwilling because they believed that downforce aerodynamics weren't suitable for MotoGP. According to motorsportmagazine.com, HRC's 2019 technical manager Takeo Yokoyama reasoned that Honda wants to develop technology that can be transferred to street bikes, since that's one of the main reasons Honda races. In terms of aerodynamics, Honda felt that it couldn't convert so much technology to a street bike, which is why extreme aerodynamics isn't the way to go. Yokoyama also thinks that there'll be a rule change in MotoGP in 2027, which is supposed to reduce the performance gains from aero downforce. Yokoyama thinks that increasing the contact of the front tire to the asphalt with aerodynamics is good for safety, but you don't have to do it with aero downforce because the bike can be changed by the weight distribution of the engine, and so on. If safety is the goal, Yokoyama thinks using aero downforce can be more risky because the point of downforce is to increase the contact of the front tire with the asphalt, allowing the motorcycle to use more torque, which means it can accelerate faster and reach higher speeds. It's pretty clear to anyone watching MotoGP that Japanese manufacturers aren't into doing Formula One-style aero development. While Ducati equipped the Desmosedici with ground effect aero for the 2021 season, it took Honda 20 months to follow, and Yamaha even longer. That's why Honda's aero is still way behind Ducati's. The best way to get up to speed quickly is to hire engineers who already have that knowledge, like people from Ducati, Aprilia, and KTM. Honda hasn't done that yet. Instead, they've relied solely on their own experiments, which is probably a slow way to gain info. Meanwhile, Yamaha has snatched up Ducati's head of aerodynamics, Marco Nicotra, who used to work in Formula One aerodynamics, and technical director Max Bartolini. His arrival has totally shaken up the technical team at the manufacturer. At the post-season tests in Barcelona last November, the Yamaha garage was jam-packed with European and Japanese engineers. Honda has also started making moves in that direction, hiring Aprilia's chief engineer, Romano Albesiano, who will be the first to join the team, which would have been unthinkable a few years ago. Albesiano has been testing with Honda's new lead MotoGP test rider, Aleix Espargaró. They both know a lot about Aprilia. The big question is whether this one new boss is enough to change Honda's approach, or if Honda will need to hire more Europeans in the future. Albesiano will most likely try to do just that, just like Bartolini. Meanwhile, Santi Hernandez, who started his career at Honda with Marc Marquez in 2013, says the Honda bike loses acceleration because it doesn't have enough grip. This makes it tough to overtake other bikes. Johan Zarco, Honda's fastest rider last season because he could corner faster than any other RC213V rider, agrees that the bike needs better aero downforce. Last season, he did too many wheelies despite the engine having good power. This poor acceleration is a big reason why Honda can't match the fastest bike's lap times. The RC213V also has some corner entry problems. Santi Hernandez said that better rear grip helps the rider brake better, which changes the speed in the corner, the racing line into the corner, and out of the corner. If the rider can't stop the bike, it'll be slow through the corner. Hernandez said the Ducati brakes better, the bike is more stable, and the rear end stays down on the tarmac during hard braking. This is how the Honda rider feels right now. Marini found it very difficult to brake the bike. Even if the rear tire touches the ground, it still slides because it doesn't grip the asphalt. So when Marini enters corners, he has to use the front brake more than others, which makes it hard for him to control the front tire. This often leads to crashes at every corner, causing him to slow down and spin the wheels when he exits the corner. Most of these corner entry and exit issues come from the bike not loading the rear tire properly. This is probably a mix of not loading the tires the right way through the bike's balance and geometry, and not loading them the right way aerodynamically through downforce. Last season, Honda's problems were made worse by Michelin's new super grippy rear tire for the 2024 season, which also gave Aprilia, KTM, and Yamaha a hard time. Mir said the bike had a lot of chatter or vibration. The vibrations caused the former world champion's rear tire to bounce a few millimeters off the asphalt, which might be why he's been crashing so much. This has left Honda engineers scratching their heads because usually when a tire causes vibrations, they get worse when you have more grip. Still, Honda has made progress. Marini says the bike rides better now because it's more balanced and controllable. But of course, Honda's rivals have also made strides during 2024, so the gap isn't too big. At the start of the season, Honda was 1.1 seconds per lap slower than Ducati, and at the end of the season, it was 0.8 seconds slower. Not a big difference. Marini thinks the gap will close in the second half of 2025 as Albesiano and Honda's engineers work on the bike's issues, especially rear traction, but don't be surprised if it takes longer. Keep in mind that Ducati hasn't won a MotoGP race since 2010 to 2016, which is almost 6 years. If Honda takes that long, it won't be until the spring of 2029 that they'll win again.